Hi, this is Vernon again. Last time we talked about it was the Azores. So basically going from Northern Europe to the southern part of, well, to South America, but not much in South America. Mainly Southern Europe to the Atlantic region, Southern Europe to North Africa, Middle East. So MENA, right? Middle East, North Africa to I did the poles already, North Pole, South Pole, um, and let's see, I did Iceland, I did the Azores. Yeah, so now we're in the Americas, and I'm going to talk about Washington D.C. So, United States of America. Uh, if you're familiar with D.C., this then you may understand this better than if you're not. But um, that's the Capitol building toward the top to the right of the obelisk. The obelisk, of course, is the Washington Monument, and to the bottom of the screen, a little to the left, that's the Lincoln Memorial, and a little to the above that, and a little bit to the left in that little grove of trees, that's where the Vietnam Wall is, the Vietnam Memorial Wall. Oh, and around the middle of this image to the left of the obelisk, that's the Smithsonian, art and history and stuff like that. My argument is that most of these things, the Mayans or whoever made the map, they captured these images, but it's all in ancient symbolism. So here's the Capitol building. If you go inside the Capitol building, you will see National Statuary Hall, um, which I guess I put these in the wrong order, but whatever. Oh, I get it. So one of the things you should be aware of is that when you're looking at the Capitol building, you're looking at a map of Washington D.C. So on the right you see the Capitol building, and the streets are laid out so that on the first day of summer the sun rises and shines down Maryland Avenue. On the first day of winter it rises and shines down Pennsylvania, and on the equinoxes it's Capitol Street, and the Mayas had the same thing at the same location. You see that image on the left, and if you look at those two things on the top of that wall, that's how they made their solar calendar. I'm not sure how it worked, but that's what archaeologists said in 2012. That those things, there are six of those, three on each side of the two walls. And so let's continue. If you ever go to Chichen Itza, and you go to the ball court, which you see on the left, they'll tell you to clap your hands or shout or something when you're standing at one of the ends. What the Mayans are showing you is that in that place, sound is amplified. My argument is that they're showing us the National Mall of Washington, D.C. At the National Mall, of course, we amplify sound. We've got, sometimes there are concerts and we've got inaugurations, but, loudspeakers. We also play sports there. Um, you go there any warm day and people are playing sports. Well, guess what? In the original Mayan uh, creation myth, it's the Maze God twins and the Hero twins playing an ancient version of soccer and basketball. So here are two guys, contemporary guys playing soccer, and just like the Hero twins did. I don't think the Hero twins was referring to ancient Mesoamericans. I think they were referring to heroes of America, and I'll explain why. So here's the Capitol again, the Capitol building. And when you go inside, you see National Statuary Hall on the left. And what it basically is men standing on pedestals. On the right is where the Mayas put their version of National Statuary Hall. And as you can see, it's men standing on pedestals. If you look at that image on the left and you look at the bottom part, it looks like a guy who's doing push-ups and he's out of breath. The reason I think they did that is to remind us that in Mayan mythology or cosmogony, one of those terms, inanimate objects had consciousness. So, like the knife that they used to cut someone would know that it's cutting someone. The knife was aware of what it was doing. And so they're saying that the pedestal that held up George Washington, etc., right? It was aware that it was holding up a statue of someone. So that's National Statuary Hall. Now at the other end, uh, that's the Temple of the Bearded Man, which is where we have the Lincoln Memorial. Here's the Lincoln Memorial. Those structures are laid out very similarly. You go up some steps, you go past some pillars, and there you are. What does the bearded man look like? Well, looks like a white man with a beard. And that image you're looking at is 100 years old. It's a photo that's 100 years old. It's a copy of a photo that's 100 years old by Alice Laplangian. And that image was 1,000 years old when she took this photograph. That thing on his head is not a beanie copter or a hat. Those are war feathers. That means that this particular person was involved in a war. And you see him taking his last breath, those airwaves coming out of his mouth. That means he died prematurely. Also, where we have the Gettysburg Address around Lincoln, the Mayas have the same thing behind the bearded man. They have these images of a war. So who were the hero twins in ancient Mayan mythology? I think they were George Washington and John Adams is who I think they were. And I'll talk to you about that later on. That's why I think these are American time travelers and not Mayan clairvoyants. Because in Mayan mythology, human civilization begins at this great ball court on your left. But it seems to be a map, a replica of Washington, D.C. And I don't know why ancient Mayans would say that civilization would begin 1,000 years after them in a place that's 2,000 miles away. But I do see why American time travelers would say that civilization began with the United States. Thank you for listening to part 15.